welcome to the Inner Game podcast. This is a podcast where we have conversations with founders and CEOs about their decisions, their doubts, and breakthroughs that have defined their leadership, actually, and how they have achieved their success till now. And today we have the founder of Sanglung Villas and Suites with us from Bali, Kim Van Nie. So, Kim, welcome. Thank you very much for your time. My first question I'm asking to everyone is the same. How are you?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. I'm good. I'm jet lagged, but that's good because I just flew in back to Bali. Live in Spain, so last night I flew in, as you can maybe still tell. But I'm very happy to be back in actually not that sunny but warm Bali. So that's good in the north because we are in the north, of course. And our resort's there, and I'm happy to be back. I'm
You
happy to
flew,
be finally in the interview.
yes, 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 and you flew on Tempesar, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then it's still a 3 hour drive, two and a half. Actually, yesterday was quite quick from the airport to the resort.
Hmm. I was there. I was impressed. That's
Thank
why
you.
I reached out to you. So yeah, let's have that conversation where we spoke about leadership. Um, And the first question that I have is about what was that belief about leadership that you had to let go over the years? What was this? Can you
Yeah.
put some light on that?
Yeah. So I think what is the main thing what comes when it comes down to leadership, something that I had to learn myself is to delegate, to be able to not do everything myself or ourselves. And just by having a team to fill up every job vacancy is one thing, but then you also have to be able to delegate the details and make sure that the people can do things and that I'm not too much focused on every detail. So to have the trust in your team and to let them come with own ideas and to make sure that it starts living its own life and that it's not so static anymore, but it gets more dynamic where everybody gets a little bit more control over their department and the trust that as a owner maybe you put in the team. So that is a big shift because since we are coming from a very small team and we've been extending just before the pandemic, we started to expand actually the resort from three big villas into what we are now 15 and will be 20 units. Now we are a resort with a restaurant, a pool. Well, most of the units have their own pool, but a main pool and a lobby and a bar. And so now we're building a spa. So it's a whole different approach now of from private villas to a resort style, which comes with a bigger team. So we went from 10 staff members to 35. And so the answer to your question is to find the the balance in how to delegate in a way that everybody feels happy and that I can step back a little bit and let it grow by itself.
How did you get there? Because as you said, you live in Spain. You run a business in as a founder in Bali. So how do you get there to, first of all, delegate? Because I guess that you're not permanently living in Bali.
Yeah.
So how do you get there to, first of all, delegate, to trust the team, to give the trust, and to get there? So what's behind that?
Yeah. So I think that the most important, this is partly maybe luck, but also maybe it comes from a sort of a feeling. Well, we have put our trust very high in a couple of key players in the team. For example, Ari, you met Ari as well. He has been with us since the beginning. And I think if we were not able to work with, in this case, Ari, from the start, maybe things would have been different. But we had the feeling when we met him that he would be the person to run this with us with us, and so it has turned out with, of course, ups and downs, but having somebody that is having own initiatives, smart and good English as well, very important, and understands what makes the bridge between, let's say, our uh, let's say, make the bridge between my way of doing business and how things work in Bali. He understands that very well from by nature. So he didn't study this, but I felt it when I met him. And having him since the beginning with us is part of that. So how have we been delegating it since the start? Is we've been here every 3 months, more or less, and then we stayed here for a month, sometimes 2 months, and so yes, in the times when we're not on site, we of course have a daily contact with the team, and then in the beginning the smaller team. But yes, if we did not have that very strong connection and trust in him, and it would have been much more difficult, I think. So I think it's very important to find a local, uh, let's call business partner, somebody that you can trust. And that's easier said than done, of course. But that's one of the key factors of the success of Sanglung, because
Mhm.
without that, it would have been very different. Yeah.
Mhm. So I heard you saying that it could be luck, good luck that you met him. But on the other hand, how did you met him, for example? Because
Yeah.
now it's like, how many years are you running the resort?
I think it's about 12 years now that we started the villas. So this was like the independent villas. The resort opened like a year ago in a new format. But
Mhm.
but Ali, we met. So we started our business, our small hotel in Valencia, and when things were finally going okayish in Spain, we were able to travel a little bit more again, just for fun, for leisure, and we went to Bali a couple of times. And one of the first times we went to Bali, we stayed at the then very iconic Hyatt Sanur, which was a very old hotel, then still exists, but it has been going through some reforms. But it was one of those first hotels in Bali, and for my the first time to be in this kind of chain. We went to the hotel. We had a very nice time, and I met Ari. This was me needing a driver to go to Ubud one day, and he was standing at the transportation desk. He was not supposed to be at the transportation desk because he was a driver, but he turned out to be the leader of the organization of the transportation for the hotel. So I was dealing about the price, just being this. Let's call it nasty, but not that kind of nice foreigner trying to get the best deal for the transportation. So I was dealing with him, and he was accepting my offer for the two-way from the hotel to Ubud and back. And I felt instantly that, hey, this guy is smart. But that was just that. So we drove to Ubud, had a nice conversation, got to know each other a little bit better, drove back, and that was it. I did make some photos, but I did not keep his phone number. Like half a year later, I think, maybe a little more, we went back to Bali, and I emailed the hotel to and asked them with a photo, do you know who this guy is? And can we,
Amazing.
if so, can we, yeah, can we meet him again? Oh yeah, of course, he's Ari. So I got his number, and he was pleased that we were looking for him. And since then, he has been, in that moment, our driver all the way, all the time, to everywhere, and our guide, and that turned into friendship, and that turned into working together. So this has been a process of at least 3 years in the make before we started doing business in Bali. But knowing him very, very well, because we've been going back and back and back to Bali. It was like our main destination for our free time, our holidays. So yeah, it started as a friendship, and those years of getting to know each other helped a lot to understand each other and to be able to put the trust in him, because it's a lot of trust you put in someone financially,
Yeah, of
and
course.
uh, yeah, and he did all the translation. My Indonesian is very bad still. My partner speaks it well, but then also did not. So it was Ari always doing the translation, and Ari could have taken big time advantage in a negative way if he wanted, but he didn't. He was very he always he understood very well that you may have a very big gain on the short run.
Mm,
Penny wise, pound foolish, right?
mm,
You can make a lot of money now, but then you'll lose your client or you lose the contacts. And that what I have seen a lot in Bali, that people have that mentality that they will maybe do something not that great in the beginning. They make a lot of money, but then the business relationship's over. Adi understood that very well from the beginning. That's not how you build long-term relationships. So yeah, him being who he is, and also his English being very well, his love for the island and for the culture and the religion is also something that really struck me. We get to met his family very well, so there was this very strong connection. I, I'm not sure if I would start a new business in, I don't know, let's say South Africa, if that would be, if I can do the same thing again, but I would probably need to find and have the same feeling again before I start to do something as big as this.
yeah, that's a beautiful story, actually. It goes from trust to the feeling to investing time again and again for 1 to 3 years in someone, and then yes, I met him and also your other team members. Interesting. It brings me to a second question, Kim. Actually, is that one moment, that pivotal moment that changed everything for you in leadership, but really like one crucial point or moment, maybe
Yeah.
not in your career in Sanglung, but in general.
Yeah. Well, I think there is just one massive moment in time in my life that has changed everything, and also the business, and it's called the pandemic. The
Mm,
pandemic has made the biggest impact on my life. For now,
in,
I would still call it a negative impact, but eventually it will be a positive impact. But so that has made me rethink everything, and also had to, and if we go back to Sanglung, had to start to focus on different way of operating this business. First of all, I had to go steer it through the pandemic, um, and then we had to deal with the new normal. And the new normal is for us very much that the clientele, our guests have changed from where they come from, which of course it doesn't matter where people are from, but it does change the way you interact. If you have a lot of Americans who spend big time on food and beverage, and are very easy with pricing, um, that's different than when we start to get more people from I don't know, cultures where you have where there's no alcohol allowed, for example.
yeah,
So we had
restrictions.
to
Yeah.
make yeah, restrictions. We had to adapt to that, and what we did is we started focusing now more on, uh, for example, the Chinese market. So we try to open up that market more. So our clients are now mostly, our guests come from Asia, and before they come, mainly came from America and from Europe. And you can do two things. You can either try to do a lot of promotion back in Europe and back in America, but I don't think that is the way forward. I think it's just focusing. So where the clients now come from, maybe focus more on that part of the world instead of trying to regain those clients from America. Because, for example, I don't think the Americans are really coming back to Bali for on the short run anyhow. So it will be almost a waste of money and time and energy to put all our marketing on that side.
But how
So
has
I'm
that? How was the crucial moment impacting your view on leadership? Exactly, the
yeah,
pandemic.
yeah. Well, Well, difficult.
Or
I
was it more like you had to focus more on, oh, we are getting like new clients from new places in the world, so we are going to reposition ourselves? Was it more in that way, like,
yeah,
and comparing to before that it was more automatically, more organically? Was it in that way?
exactly. Yeah, it wasn't that way because we were before things almost luxury. We didn't do any social media. We didn't do any our photos of the resort or then the villas did it by itself. So just good
Mm.
photos and the location where we were would sell itself. So the change in leadership there would have been mostly to try to establish a new team to focus more on getting the word out, who we are, what we want, and what we can offer. Is for me so it's not focusing only on the quality of the resort itself. Now it's also trying to focus on how to get, as I said, to get the word out. And for me, that is a change in leadership because now it's like a new department that had to show up in the company, which before didn't had to exist. Maybe it should have had exist then as well, but we were almost always fully booked. So yeah, the change is there. That the focus is now more on getting people to know us and focusing on different parts of the world where we already get the new guests coming from instead of focusing on the old world.
Could we say from effortlessly to eff no, from no effort to effort? Could we express it like this?
Yes. Now it's also, of course, that we went from three big private villas with staff into a resort. So it is by itself already a total different approach. So it's I don't really believe in competition. I think if you stand out, then you are able to make it as a company. I think if you will start on a restaurant on, let's say, on Times Square, you would say, yeah, there are so many restaurants already around that area. Why would you do that? There's so much competition. I think if you stand out and if you're different and better, then it will work anyway. So it doesn't matter if there's already too many restaurants. And if you go back to Bali, if there's already too many resorts and villas, then you can still, it doesn't really matter as long as you can offer something different and better than most of other competitors. Um, that is something we are now have to focus more on because being a resort means that we have to have a couple of basic things like as you've seen we're now finishing the spa and the yoga shala, something very essential I think we need as a resort, and without that automatically you lose a lot of strength in the competition because if you don't have that and we just have to be it's if it's just our nice view that we have and the nice small villas that you can rent is not enough, and the staff that I think is the most important of the resort is our team, our family, which we call them as well. That's how it feels. If you don't have these main basic facilities, then it's very difficult to compete with other resorts. So we are almost there, but these things are all come to a different kind of leadership and approach of how to operate the business.
Mhm.
But we're getting there. But
Mhm.
this is just very new. So, as I said, you've been here not so long ago. It's like half a year ago we really opened the new resort, and we're still work in progress, although we're now fully running. And it's now that I do a podcast with you, and I'm opening up my soul to the world to show
Mhm.
where we are, who we are.
Yeah, let's share there. The seats are there. Now we are going to share it. It brings me to a last question because you travel a lot. How are you keeping up that performance? What are the routines that you are holding on to get to get there to keep your performance high? What are you doing on a daily basis,
Yeah,
let's say?
Well, on a daily base, I could do better. So let's maybe I could do a little more sports. But what we try to do is to disconnect from the resort. So when we go to Spain, it is a whole different focus. So it is very important to not be all the time inside the resort and inside that bubble, to step out of that, do other things, travel, see different hotels. We used to do that a lot actually before the pandemic. We were traveling all the time and going to all kinds of, from a high end to the low end range of hotels, to learn and to see what we liked, and what from any hotel or any place where we go to, and cherry pick the nice things and put it into the resort. So for me, to be fresh and to be attentive is to not be all the time focusing on Sanglung, but do things be on the side and disconnect from it. Now, I've been doing some yoga, another really very good one. It helped me as well. And as long as for now, I have this idea of I should do some more sporting. That will totally help, but that's not. It's not. I hope next time when we'll meet, that I can tell you, yes, that's now also one of the routines that help me to focus more.
It's very interesting, those points from delegating to thinking about, was a pandemic a negative or a positive impact, to disconnecting from your bubble. So three very nice insights. I thank you for this.
Thank
And
you.
for the readers, the listeners, I mean, uh, keep on challenging yourself and finding the pivotal moments and think about your leadership. And I would say we will see each other in the next episode. And thank you, Kim, so much for your time and being present in this podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Bart. Thank you.